Hi, Scalable Investors. Today I have with me Leslie Awasom. Leslie is the founder of Excite Capital Investments, a multifamily investor based over in Maryland. And I'm really excited to have him on the show. Leslie, what's going on today? How was your Friday?
Not much, Mason. Thanks for having me. It's a wonderful Friday so far, so I'm liking it. Yeah. How are you?
Okay. Oh, I'm doing good. Things are just still hot here in Texas, but what can you expect? It's the middle of July, so
Yeah,
actually, a week ago, I was in West Texas visiting family, and it's just blistering heat that just comes down on you. But at least it's not too humid over there, so
I see.
it's able to maintain.
That's good.
Yeah. So I realized you're over in Maryland,
Yeah.
and for your day job, you work as a nurse, and so I'd really like to understand, help our listeners understand how you got involved in real estate and how you're juggling these two things at the same time.
Oh, absolutely. Again, thank you for having me, Mason. My day job, I'm a nurse anesthetist, so I give anesthesia to patients under surgery. So I initially got it was actually after I graduated from nursing school, initially in 2008, that something happened that kind of triggered that spark in me to go out and search alternative methods. That's because it was around the same time of the crash in 2008, where the stock market crashed, and I saw some other older employees, older nurses that have been working for 20, 30 years lose a significant portion of their 401k retirement. And just seeing people go through that was kind of traumatizing for me. And I remember promising myself that I never want to put myself in that situation ever. But at that point, I didn't really quite know what I was going to do. So the first thought on my mind was maybe I need to go back to school and get a graduate degree so I can make more money. Maybe if I make more money from the W-2, that would be the security that I need, which is why I went in and did anesthesia and got a very nice paying W-2 job. But again, after working for a couple months, I just didn't see myself ending in that position. As much as I love what I do, I enjoy the value that I provide to people on a daily basis as an anesthesia provider. I just didn't see myself. I didn't see a lot of growth happening in that field. So I felt like there's going to be stagnation at some point. So at that same time, I was reading through a Yahoo article, and it talked about a new book written by Robert Kiyosaki for millennials that have student loan debt and all that stuff that were trying to figure out what direction to go in life. The name of the book is Second Chance at Your Money and Your Life. So I ordered the book, and the book came. I started reading the book, and it felt to me like the book like Robert Kiyosaki was my lost uncle that was talking to me about my actual life situation and explaining to me what I need to do. So it answered a lot of the questions that I had developed over the years about the economy, about finances, about a lot of stuff. And then it gave me like a good path to follow if I wanted to break out of this path. So at that point in time, I was ready for any information. So I did exactly what the book told me. Started reading other books. He recommended real estate investing as a good place. I started attending REI meetings and meeting other real estate investors and learning about real estate investing. And it sounded like something that would resonate with me. So finally in 2017, took the courage, took the dive after spending all the time educating myself, took the dive in and bought my first property. It was like a condo, a single family condominium property. Did the BRR model on it: buy, rent, buy, renovate, rent, refinance, and then repeat. So did that. It worked really great. Came out of it good, and to me that was a proof of concept. That was solidification that this actually works to me. So from that point on, I was sold. I was all in. I really enjoyed myself going through the process, going through everything from the acquisitions to the renovation to getting the tenant in. All that stuff I really enjoyed doing. So I decided to focus my attention on real estate and acquire more properties. Around that same time, I met my initial partner, Tenny. And we just started, we shared a lot of philosophy about investing, about growth, about personal development and stuff. So we started meeting and playing the cash flow board game. And that's how we decided to put our forces together and focus on multifamily investing. And then later on down the line, we also met our third partner, Julius, and things have just been moving, has just been speeding up ever since then.
Okay, that's interesting. You mentioned that cash flow board game. How
Yeah.
did you find that? I've
Oh,
never actually tried it.
oh, it's a great game. I'll encourage it for anybody that is still new to investing, trying to figure out exactly what direction they can go. Because uh, from playing the game, you learn a lot about yourself and the way you deal with money and the way you view money. You know, from playing the game, I was able to pick out certain money attitudes about myself, which I've been over the time learned to improve. And I was able to pick different attitudes about my partner's the knowledge on money and the way he views money. And from that, you're able to see where your strengths are and where your weaknesses are and what you could do. And I think it's an excellent board game. I have it here at my home. I plan on playing it with my kids as they grow up. So definitely recommend it for anybody.
Okay, and it's just something you could order off of Amazon or
Correct.
something.
Yeah. It's called
Okay,
board game by Robert Kiyosaki. Yes. And
great.
I have no affiliations with Robert, but I admire and adore what he has done for me as a person and my journey. Yes.
Got it. Yeah, I believe you mentioned it in the Rich Dad Poor Dad, and that's why I know of it. That's
Yes.
interesting, though. I'll post a link in the description of the episode so people can go check it out if they want to.
Correct.
So I know that you then invested, I guess you went from the single family condo eventually to the 192 unit property in Atlanta. And that was a passive investment in that one, right?
Yeah, so along the way, my partners and I, we started a meetup here in the Maryland area where we talk about multifamily and we have people come to our meetup. We also went to hired a coach and a mentor for our multifamily investing. And through one of those networks, we met our mentors and advisors, Viking Capital, that and we built a strong, good relationship with our advisors over the years. And so they came across this property in Atlanta, Georgia, $192 in Marietta. And they invited us on the deal to be to invest on the deal as limited partners and gave us the opportunity to be able to meet certain parameters to get on the general partnership side, which unfortunately, being our first exposure, we were unable to meet that. So we were not able to get on the general partnership, but we got in as limited partners. So we invested passively into it, which also gave us the opportunity to see how a syndication functions from the back end, like from the distributions, from the acquisition to the distributions to everything. So it's been a great experience so far. And we actually participated in the due diligence of that asset. My partner flew down to Atlanta and took part in the due diligence, walked the property with our advisors, Viking Capital, and looked at every part of the asset. So it was a great start, great experience for us. Yes.
Okay, that sounds like you said, great experience because I know some syndicators prefer LPs to not get too involved, but I think that's good. And what kind of requirements did Viking have for people to potentially also be a GP on the deal?
You know, so to be part of the GP of a deal, you have to have an active role in the management of the deal, right? So at that point, we were not, I'll say, ready to achieve to have a management role on the deal, and we also had to bring in some of our capital as capital partners. So and a couple of our capital partners pulled out at the towards the end of the raise of the deal. So that was one of the Achilles that prevented us from getting in on the general partnership side. But the requirement is you have to have an active role in the management of the property, which is what we want, right? Because we in multifamily, not to, it's a great investment to invest passively, but we enjoy the active side and we want to grow the community and build this platform where we can bring other people to invest passively and grow their wealth. So they took us on as their mentees and showing us the ropes. So gave us that opportunity to go out there and take part in the due diligence and all that stuff. Again, not every passive investor wants to do all that. People are passive because they don't want to be involved in all the day-to-day management and stuff. So we were doing that with the understanding that we are aiming for the general partnership side. But when our capital partners pulled out, we weren't able to meet that criteria. Yes.
Okay, that makes sense. And yeah, I realize there's, like you said, there's some people that are just too busy and they don't really have an interest in having a hands-on approach. But I've heard of another syndicator operator based in Houston here in Texas that does a similar approach. So
Yeah.
it's always good to hear that that exists sometimes. So you went from that passive investment eventually to acquiring a 49 unit property with you, your business partner. So how did that transition work, and how did you go about doing that, finding the deal, and eventually closing on it?
Yeah, so we took the lessons that we learned from my experience with the 192 doors and applied that to our business to augment stuff. Because one of the reasons why we, like I mentioned, the capital, why we fell short on the capital side was because we didn't do an excellent job of marketing ourselves or building our network, expanding, or letting a lot of people know what we do. So at that point, when you have a couple investors, when you have just a few investors and one of them pulls out, you're scrambling to look for more investors, and which at the last minute, that's the worst time to raise money when you're desperate. So we learned from that experience. So we expanded our network and started building teams from the acquisition side to the money raising side. And so for this deal, again, we partner up again with our advisors on the deal, Viking Capital. So we are both our co-managers on the deal. 49 unit in DC, which is a market that they've been trying to break into, and we're grateful that they're bringing us along again on this journey. So for this one, using the lessons we learned from the past, it was much easier this time around to bring whatever was necessary from our end to meet up our requirement for the deal.
Okay. And did you actually source that, or did you just find it through a broker, or how did that work?
Broker, through a broker. It's been a broker relationship that has been built over time.
Okay. And I guess your broker relationship, it wasn't Vikings broker?
No, Vikings broker relationship. Yeah.
Oh, got it. Okay. Yeah, I was just curious how you might have cultivated yours. I guess you're still doing that and cultivating your own broker relationships.
Yeah, we've built strong broker relationships as well. We have it takes time to build like solid relationships with brokers, but we're fortunate. We have like very strong brokers in our Carolina markets. We have very strong brokers in Houston as well that have been sending us a lot of deals that we communicate with on a daily basis. That we have no doubt that with them, before the year is over, we should be closing something with them because we have some great stuff that is coming from that end. So yeah. So why we work with our partners, and because again, as you know, these are big assets that require a bigger amount of money. So it's a team sport. So why we team up with other groups like our advisors or other groups that we may team up with in the future, we are out there as well looking, building our acquisition team in our different markets and looking at assets. But to find that right asset, it takes time. So we keep underwriting and looking at deals on a daily basis.
Okay. So you mentioned, I know you're based in Maryland,
Yes.
and you have brokers in the Carolinas and Houston.
Right.
So I guess you don't really limit to a certain geographic area, or like a certain radius
We do
around
actually,
Maryland.
we limit to areas that are really accessible that we can easily go to. One of my partners is currently in the process of moving to Charlotte, which is one of our main markets. So he's going to be down on the ground looking at everything that we're doing down there. And Houston is just an hour and a half flight away from Maryland. So we try not to go to areas that you don't have a straight direct flight from Maryland or that is not quickly accessible, so that's how we limit ourselves. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So juggling the day job with Excite Capital, how do you go about doing that? What's, I guess, the nature of your job? Do you find any obstacles with, or trying to make ends meet with both of the time constraints?
I make it work. I'm passionate about both. Like I'm really passionate about Excite Capital. I'm really passionate about what we're building. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to be in this position where I have this understanding and I'm able to build what we're building here. So with that attitude, it's easy to find time. I know I've heard people ask me before, where do you find? I wake up every morning at 4:30 in the morning. I have to be at work at 7 o'clock. So I wake up at 4:30 in the morning. So I have at least an hour and a half for myself to handle to spend time with myself and figure out my day before I go. I work in a hospital. We have a hospital library. Every time I get a break at work, I'm down in the library looking at stuff, maybe underwriting a deal or looking at something that has to do with my business. And on my days off, I'm 100% focused on the business. So it's not so much the lack of time, it's so much the how you manage yourself. It's not about time management, it's more about self-management. And I do believe if you find something that you really enjoy doing, that you're passionate about, it's not going to be difficult to find that time and to manage that time appropriately. There are other things that I easily give up. So some people, you might look at it as sacrifice, but if I'm not working on my business, I look at it as sacrifice. So I enjoy what I'm doing. I see the growth happening as I do it. So there are very few things in life that you do that you see the growth happening on a daily basis as you do it. And I have that with Excite Capital. So there's no way that I can't make time to focus on this. So I'll make it work, and I really enjoy doing it. Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, I think it's true. It's really interesting. You say it's not just time management, it's really self-management. And sometimes I feel like I'm more effective with my time management if I have less time. And I'm forced to just block that time and say, I'm going to focus.
Exactly. That's when you're able to, when you have that pressure now, you can manage yourself. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
That when you feel like there's all this time, then you easily get distracted. So
Yep.
and when you have something important, something that is important to you that you have to do, you figure out a way to make it work. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if there's no passion there, then you just kind of let it fall by the wayside. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
like most things. All right. Um, going back a little bit, when I was in college, I started a student organization, and I've started other meetups and stuff. And the struggle of it is always getting people to attend. And I just bring up that anecdote because I know you're also hosting a meetup group in Maryland. And so I'm curious, how do you go about maximizing that turnout and just building the awareness that your events are happening, these meetups?
So we're getting better as we go. I'm very grateful for my partners because we have the attitude of, if it's just person, we're still gonna host our meetup and give it our best. If it's two people, we're gonna host it and give it our best. And we have the attitude of keep going, don't give up. It doesn't matter. We don't focus too much on that. Like, yes, we want to have 100 people attend our meetup. Those are the goals that we have, but if at a meetup we have two people, we are happy and we network and share our value as much as we can. So I'm grateful for that. That I had in the beginning, it was kind of challenging, dealing because maybe our first few meetups we probably had 3 or 4 people show up. When you're excited, you want those results, and then you put in the effort and you don't see it. It might get a little bit frustrating, but over time, what we do is we learn from every experience and try new things for the next meetup and see how that works. So over time, we've been able to build that following. We started off maybe with about 10 people on our meetup group. Now we have more than 500, and it's rapidly growing. So it's just persistence, like consistency. Keep going, and keep applying yourself, and the results will come. So that's what we've been doing. Yeah.
Okay, and so you say persistence. How long have you been going at it and doing? When did you start the meetup group?
Started April of 2019.
Okay, it's a little over a year now. That's
Yeah.
great. And what's the format? Because I know some meetups will you're sitting at a bar and having a beer, and that's the event. And some people have PowerPoints and other stuff. So what is the format usually for these?
It's like casual. When we started off, we were hosting at a hotel in College Park, Maryland. So we have like presenters, people that are experts in different aspects of the field. They'll just come do a chat, like a small chat, maybe for about 30 minutes. the most we'll do is like give handouts. Then after that, we have conversations, questions and answers between us and the expert. Then we just network, get to know each other, look at what everybody's doing. And now everything is virtual, which is actually great. It's actually working great because we're reaching out to people in other ends of the country. And so again, we every meetup we try to bring someone who is an expert in the field to come and do a presentation, and then afterwards we'd ask questions. So, and I don't know when this is gonna go up, but our next meetup is the first on Monday of August, and we're gonna have an amazing host, Steven Pesavento, the host of the Investor Mindset podcast, and a great guy in the field, and he's gonna be talking about negotiations and how to. He's done more than 200 negotiations, so he's gonna come teach how to negotiate like an FBI hostage negotiator. So we're really excited about that as well.
Oh, got it. What's his name again?
Steven Pesavento.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I'll be sure to post a link to that in the episode description. I just asked because I'm reading a book recently about another FBI hostage negotiator, Chris Voss.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he did a program with Chris Voss, and he did a program in collaboration with Chris Voss how to teach those negotiation skills. Never split the difference. So he's going to be teaching us that live and to our audience live. So we're really excited about that opportunity. Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, I was actually giving an offer to a property owner yesterday and was trying to apply those principles. So, although I think one caveat that I hope that Steven will highlight is that when you're under pressure and you're like, oh shit, he didn't like my first offer, then you start to scramble and some of those things go out the door. And like anything else, you have to put things to practice and have it become second nature.
Yeah,
the first time it's not gonna work as well. But what were you saying?
I'm glad you brought that up. I'm gonna put that as a question up to him and ask him how to deal with that. Because it's one thing to learn all these skills in a book, but apply it in real life. That's when those are the real moments. And when you face a little challenge, it might be difficult to get back on your feet.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like things, especially like in a textbook or like college course format, things look so nice on paper. Absolutely. And then there's always like in the real world, there's a changing circumstance. So this guy, I told him and he's like, I don't think it's worth fooling with at that point. And he's just some kind of country folk guy. And I was like, well, what number do you have in mind? I asked you like a week ago and you didn't tell me. But like,
Mm-hmm.
And I like did like my offer times 5, and he's like, oh, that's kind of getting to the ballpark. And I was like, all right, well, that's kind of my exit price for the asset. So I don't think this is ever going to work. And so he wasn't even a real seller, so you could like also get to the end point of where you want to be and understand where that party is, like maybe without sticking to a script of, what the book told me this or that. And
exactly. I guess you got to do it so much that it becomes natural. So that's why it helps to have somebody that has done that many deals, that has probably faced some of those challenges that you're mentioning, and can help us guide us how to navigate some of that. Because a lot of it is, it's more about mindset, than just reading whatever it is. So what I liked about what he teaches is he talks about principles of the mind and how to use different words or triggers to get people to open up and be more, open to listening to whatever offers you have. So it's interesting.
Okay, yeah, and that is a good point. If someone's seen over 200 different iterations, then that could definitely help. So, all right, I might also tune into that as well if it's remote.
It is remote.
All right, perfect.
I'll get the link.
Yeah, all right, sounds good. For one of our last questions here, I noticed you had wanted to highlight this myth about find the deal and the money will come, and you maybe briefly hit on it about investors pulling out, but could you just go into that a little bit more detail and just get this idea out of our heads that money will magically, automatically appear?
Yeah. So that is what you hear, right? Early when you get into real estate circles. So it's a semi-truth, and I call it a myth because that's what we experienced pretty much with the 192 unit deal. We were so confident about finding the deal, the money will come, that once we found maybe 5 investors, we were like, okay, that's good enough. We don't need to look. We need to focus now on building the relationships to get a deal. And once you get a good deal, you know, if people don't know you, if people don't know that you do real estate or whatever, you cannot just get up. For example, let's say, for example, you cannot just get up and find a deal that pays 25% annual returns guaranteed, and you just walk around, go to your neighbor and say, okay, this is what I have, and then they go ahead, or you go to meet some strange person and present them the deal, and they take the money out and give it to you. So we experienced that because once a few of our investors pulled out, then we started reaching out to other people we know in our network that might have the finances, but they did not know that we did real estate. And a lot of them were skeptical about investing at that point in time. And at that point in time, too, you had the pressure, you felt desperate. So and people can kind of get that energy from you when you come out at them being desperate. So yeah, find the deal, but you got to build a network. People have to know what you're doing. Like, you have to talk to people. There are a lot of people out there that want these opportunities to invest passively. There are so many people that have the money that would invest with you, but you have to let them know what you're doing. You have to build that trust. People invest not based on just numbers and returns, but they have to trust that you're able to deliver, that you have, and the trust is built over time by communicating. So when we went through that experience, we learned from that. And since then, we've been more open, reaching out to our network and talking to more people about real estate, giving value out to people. And when we had our second opportunity, which was the 49 unit, we just closed the raise on, we got oversubscribed. We had to turn down investors, right? Because it's another great deal, but at this point in time, we had built the network. So yes, find the deal, but build your network. Have people know what you're doing. Talk to people about real estate so that once you have that deal, it's not the first time they're hearing about you doing real estate or hearing anything about real estate, because they most likely will not invest with you, and you can't blame them for it.
Okay. And would it be effective just to go on Facebook and just kind of announce to that network to get started? Hey, I'm doing real estate.
It's surprisingly very effective. I just post something. I did that. I was very. I'm an introvert, or maybe it's because I was shy. I've learned that behind every excuse lives a fear. Maybe it was that fear of rejection, or fear of judgment, or fear of whatever that I had when I started off in this business that made me keep it to myself. But once I started putting out there that, oh, okay, I am involved in real estate, I started having my colleagues reaching out to me. Hey, I really like what you're doing. I've been learning about this. What do you think about this? And I give them, and I didn't even realize, and I had all this knowledge, all this value within me that I could share with other people. For example, you in real estate, I know you spent a lot of time educating yourself, building the network. So you have a lot of value to share with other people, and share that value. We all know this knowledge because somebody else put it out there for us. And once you put it out there, people look at that and trust you more. So when I put it out there, just posting on Facebook, hey, I do real estate. This is some of the advantages of investing in multifamily. People started reaching out to me and say, oh, I like that. I'm interested. Can you tell me more? Can you talk to me? Or I'm looking to start my own syndicate. Can you help me out? So, and through that, we've been able to build a much wider network of people and a much wider network of investors. So again, don't be shy. Tell everybody that you know that you do real estate.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think, yeah, just getting started out, it's definitely easy just to be a closet real estate investor, and got to just come out of that closet.
Exactly. And especially when you are in a W-2 job, a lot of times we are afraid that if you put it out there in your W-2 that you're doing something else, it might bring a negative connotation to the people that you walk around, or show that you're not serious or something like that. Or we have all these irrational fears. Like what I've learned over time is we always look for something to be afraid of. It seems like that's how we get pleasure from life. So we come up with all these crazy ideas in our minds about all this stuff none of that really happens. When none of that really happens. And surprisingly, you'll be surprised to see the amount of people that need what you have. I was blown away and surprised you know. And again, that's why I say I'm really grateful that I am in this position, because I'm able to help a lot of people, not just people that are investing with me, but people that need help, maybe negotiating a deal or looking at a property or want to go buy something that doesn't make any sense, you know. So stuff like that, you know. And again, there are a lot of people out there that need that information that we have. So put yourself out there. And the more value you give, the more value comes back to you. So that is just the law of the universe. That's the way things work. So
Okay. But back to your job, did you have coworkers reaching out to you or any people, or did they just not mention anything, or was there any issues or
no, I have coworkers that are investing in my deals right now, and I have a
okay.
bunch of them that are waiting to invest in the future deals. And one of my partners is we work together in the same hospital. So again, and it's just from putting ourselves, so from putting myself out there, then you realize that, hey, this person does exactly what you do too, but they're not putting it out there. So now you can synergize and you can learn from each other. You can learn from each other's mistakes, and you could, as long as you're always open to learn. So again, you're not doing anything bad, you're not doing anything illegal, so why you put it out there? You can help somebody. Even if you do not get an investor, you could help somebody make a right decision, because you spent a lot of time to study this, you've networked with a lot of, you have way more knowledge than the average day person. So share that value with others, and it's going to be appreciated.
All right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's definitely encouraging, especially as we head into the weekends. Just gotta announce from the rooftops.
Absolutely. Don't be afraid. Again, it surprised me. It really did shock me, the results that I got. But I'm a believer now, and I'll tell anybody, do exactly the same thing, and do it with a pure heart, and it's gonna come back to you.
All right. Perfect. Well, to summarize, I think it was definitely interesting how you got involved with your first single family condo and eventually transitioning to a passive investment and partnering with Viking Capital on your first 49 unit deal. And also encouraging to know that we can juggle these day jobs and do these commercial real estate investments. We're waking up at 4:30. You might have me on that one. I'm not sure if I can match that, but always waking up early to have your own time is important though. And also going to keep in mind persistence is key, especially with something like a meetup where you're going from 10 people to now 500. So again, we're going to mention all of the information for the resources that we've discussed in the description of the episode so that our listeners can have easy access to that. And before we go, if someone wants to connect with you more and learn more about what you're doing, what's the best way to contact you?
Come to our website, www.xsitecapital.com. That's X as in X-ray, S-I-T-E capital.com. Or you could join our Facebook group as well. It's called The Exciting Wall of Multifamily Investing. And our meetup goes by the same name, The Exciting Wall of Multifamily Investing. Please come to our groups, our website. My email address is on there. Shoot me an email, you know, reach out. Let's keep talking, you know, exchanging ideas and help each other grow. So hope to hear from some of your listeners soon.
All right, perfect. Well, it is definitely valuable having you on. I definitely appreciate all the help you've been providing, and I hope to do it again soon. Thanks a
All right.
lot.
All right. Thanks, Mason.